back in Inquisitor Martyr in the alpha. This time I'm playing the Crusader, the Assault Gunner class. In this playthrough, I'm going to stick with the auto pistols, which are not bolt pistols. They are auto pistols. And I'm not going to be going to the auto gun, which is the two-hander. I'm going to stick with these two one-handed auto pistols to get a feel for them. And then also show some of the gunplay that's going on in the game now that I still feel is not quite there. There's some things I like about it, but there's some stuff that's still kind of little funky. But what I do like about the gunplay is in the cover system, which I'm using right now. I do like the animations for when your character is shooting over or around cover. It seems to be done pretty decently. Also, something about this too, this kind of, I guess this character is wearing heavy armor, but just kind of standing out in the open, taking las gunfire, and later on you're going to see some plasma rifles and some flamer fire that he takes. It kind of just stands there with some grenades also. But again, this was a lot better than what it was originally when I was playing this before. I like the way the characters are moving this time with the one-handed pistols. Last time they kind of looked like they were just kind of hanging in their hands a little bit, but it looks a lot better now. And with the ranged classes, you're gonna make more use of cover and using things that are on the maps that are designed for you to be fighting next to, behind of, and using cover. Like you saw right there when I engaged in that fight, I was using those two walls in the middle of the hallway there as cover. Here you see me just standing out in the open, taking fire and really not taking any damage, just taking some suppression hits, which again is that red, yellow, and green bar over the health bar in the lower left corner. But as you can see, still the moving around I'm really not 100% happy with, but it is definitely a lot better. And as you can see, the gunplay is not too bad. Again, these are auto pistols. These are not bolt pistols, and they seem to be doing quite a bit of damage. They're doing what seems to be more damage than a las gun is, which I think is not quite right. I'm pretty sure a las gun or a las pistol would do more damage than an auto pistol, not a bolt pistol. So I kind of think that the damage that the incoming weapons are doing are probably not quite there yet, but that may just be some game balance issues, because you're usually fighting 3, 4, 5 mobs at a time, which if you were taking, you know, multiple incoming las gun hits, that you probably wouldn't last very long. So you can't, like right there, I took basically was I think 5 las gun hits and took almost no damage whatsoever, just took some suppression hits. So it's not too bad. It could be better, but it's a lot better than it was. Again, the main thing here is the not so smart camera, which is more, this is harder to deal with when you're range class as opposed to melee, because melee you're getting right in the face of everything you're fighting. Range, you kind of want to stay away from things that you're fighting, and then again the camera really doesn't follow you very well. You got to turn it around a lot, and then again the angle. So with the longer range weapons, the angle that you get to see is kind of like limiting your ability to take advantage of some of the longer range weapons. Although here the auto pistols and then the auto gun, which is the rifle, really don't have the range to get outside of what you can see. And what you're seeing is this typical, you know, game mechanics. You know, don't stand in the red stuff, don't stand in stuff that's green or blue or red, or don't stand in the fire. Just kind of move around, although you really don't take a whole lot of damage when you do. Like right there, I took that grenade. I think that was just a slowing effect though. But again, I've been standing in 2 flamers, just kind of standing there face tanking stuff and really not taking a lot of damage, just taking suppression, you know, damage. Well, I wouldn't even call it damage, just taking, you know, your suppression bar going down, which slows you down and whatnot. But here, taking cover with the ranged classes, what I do like is there's better examples later on in this gameplay, but right here taking cover, you see that the character is actually, you know, moving around that pillar. If you notice that, to shoot one-handed, sticking the weapon around, and it kind of looks a lot better than it used to. it looks more realistic, so to say, although, you know, video game, how realistic you're really gonna get, but it seems to be, you know, getting a lot better. Right there you see that there is you have 2 auto pistols, so there's 2 ammunition counters. Each one is independent, so one can be out of ammunition and the other one will still have ammunition in it, and your character, when you're using it, will use the one with ammunition in it. You can, although, you know, you can reload yourself. And then right here I'm playing Ring Around the Rosie with this last, you know, mob that was left over right there. And again, that has to do with the kind of the weird, you know, controlling of your character where it's going with the mouse button. Right here, basically what I'm doing, you're just holding down left mouse and putting the cursor in the direction you want to move into. Right there you see it when it's a cursor and not the aiming reticle. That means you're just moving. So again, it's a little bit wonky still, but like I said, it's better than it is. Here you get a good view of how the character looks. He's leaning forward, he's got his 2 pistols up, ready to get busy, and it just looks a lot better than it used to. Here, this is one of those teleportation beacons, and I was trying to shoot it because I know basically what you're gonna see is what happens in here. You go into a room. When you see supply and medical crates, you pretty much know that either you're going into a mini boss or a boss fight, or you're about to have things teleport in either right on top of you or behind you. And you'll actually hear the noise of when they teleport in. You heard it right there. And they don't really attack me right away because I was pretty far into the room. And I just stand here and use my auto attack. Well, it's an automatic fire attack to just kind of spray the area down. As you can see, those mobs go down pretty quick. Again, picking up the chest, you don't have to click on anything from chest. You only have to actually click on supply crates and medical crates to pick up the inoculator charges or the grenades or whatnot that you have on your character. I wish I could turn off that shoulder light. Maybe I can, and I just haven't seen it in options. Like I want to turn that off. I really don't like the way it looks. To me, it looks kind of out of place, but that's not that big of a deal. Most of the things that you see are destructible to a certain degree, like these green barrels, those boxes. You saw the red barrels actually explode. The walls that you take cover behind, those will actually take damage and eventually be blown up, like those pipes do right there. You'll see that. And in the range classes, you're just going to be using a lot of that stuff for taking cover and mitigating the damage that you have incoming. Although I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who just run into their run and gun, go right into the middle of these mobs and just, you know, face tank everything. That is definitely an option. I like to play these games kind of little more of using the mechanics they built into them, even if they're not necessary. It's just something that I like to do. I don't do it all the time, but a lot of times you'll see me later on. I like to kite mobs back to cover and shoot them and try to engage them one at a time, or line them up so that my full auto attacks can do a lot of damage. And right here, I'm just waiting for my suppression bar to regenerate. As you can see right now, I'm suppressed. And basically, that's just a debuff to your character. It's really not that big of a deal. I've taken on 5, 6, 7, 8 characters with my suppression bar almost completely gone. Here you can see me using this cover. You'll see that the circle around your character will turn green when you're in cover, and that's holding the space bar. And right here, I'm not holding the space bar no more, and you see that it changed color back to what is a yellow color. And then when these mobs show up, I go back to the space bar. It goes green, takes cover, and it's a damage reduction mechanic is what it is. But I really didn't take a lot of damage anyway. It wasn't that big of a deal. You could take damage behind pretty much you could take cover behind or next to or in front of pretty much everything that you see on the maps, except for some stuff along the walls. And again, you see I actually did not get out of that blast radius and took no damage, just took suppression debuff, and it regenerated pretty fast. I'm of the feeling that maybe we should take a little more damage here, because I am not wearing a shield generator on this character. I do not have a shield generator on this right now, but you do see that when you're facing your enemies, you will take a less damage than you will if they're shooting you in the back, which is pretty standard practice. Again, medical and supply crates, you have to actually click on the supply that you get out of them to pick it up, unlike everything else. Here, taking cover on what's provided. I actually should have engaged those 3 mobs that are straight in front of me. The other ones actually destroy my cover, but again, las rifles or las guns really not doing a whole lot of damage to my character. And there's a good example coming up of the mechanics when you take cover. When you're using your pistols, you see he's peeking around the pillar, not taking a lot of damage. You see the mobs are actually hitting the pillar, doing damage to it, and it'll get to a point where it will be destroyed. But I go ahead and move out around from that and take cover again. And there you go. You see that I finished off that last mob. It was standing by those green barrels. And that was a good example of what I do like about how the cover mechanic is working. Here, I'm going to use my tarantula turret as a tank for myself to deal with these mobs. You see that it's taking all of the attention right now, the aggro, so to speak, and I'm going to focus down on the rebel tarantula autocannon. Although I could have just went over there and killed the person who's actually operating it behind it, but I wanted to go ahead and just give an example of, there you go, my suppression bar is completely gone and I'm barely starting to take damage. You'll see that above my head it has an overwhelmed marker above me. And like I said, it's a debuff to speed. I think it's a debuff to a few other things. I'm not sure. I know I read it, but I forgot, and I don't want to give the wrong information. But it is definitely a speed debuff. And as you see, it kited some mobs back, kind of spread them out a little bit, and finished off the last one who didn't pull. And I have 2 more to deal with, and the auto pistols make short work of them. It seems like the damage from the auto pistols is kind of high, maybe a little bit high, but again, like I said, it's probably a game balance thing because of the amount of mobs you're fighting at one time. And there you see the skulls that I crossed that red line. You saw the teleportation beacons up there, and go ahead and triggered a mob spawn in here. I didn't mind, I knew it was going to happen. It's just more credits and experience, what to speak. And there was nothing special in this room, no elite mob or anything to deal with. So go ahead and pop the trap, basically spawn the mobs, and then just kill them off with little to no effort. All these, if you see, most of the mobs in here just rebel guardsmen. They're not chaos demons or whatnot. There's a few of them in here, a few Nurgle demons in here, or minor demons. Most of them are just these rebel guardsmen though. As you see that there is 2 chests in here, and again, you just have to click on it. You don't have to pick nothing up, you don't have to walk through it. You just click the chest and you get the loot. And again, the events on the right hand side, I already know, it's pretty obvious what's going on. I know I have probably about a third, almost a quarter of the enemies left to kill before I get mission complete. I already accomplished a secondary mission, which was to rescue Imperial Guards. You see I have the check mark in the box. The only one I don't is exterminate all the enemies. And the skulls over there are how many times you can die before you fail the mission. You can actually die 3 times. So here I am moving again, taking cover, engaging the rebel guardsmen with their last rifles, and they're not doing a whole lot of damage. And there you see that the auto pistols do a lot of damage. Here's a guardsman actually in cover, and you actually you can shoot and destroy the cover, and then every once in a while you'll hit him, or you can just move around and engage them when they are not in cover. And something I keep forgetting about doing is, you saw the object I just clicked. It seems that in most of the maps there's 3 of them on the map, and if you click them, the strength of the mobs you're fighting actually goes down. And sometimes I keep forgetting about those. Like, I'm pretty sure I already missed one of them on the map already. I'm not going to bother to go back and get it. And here I am again taking cover. I got the mobs coming straight at me. Just go ahead and taking them one at a time, basically. Don't stand in the red stuff, standard shooter game type stuff. And here again, the camera not being smart, you'll see where the mobs are coming, yet there's an object above the ceiling that is blocking my line of sight for me, not my weapons, but where I can't see. And again, that is the camera, not being smart enough to know that your line of sight is being blocked. I played with the camera settings a little bit, really doesn't do nothing. Again, I just think it has to do with the angle that the camera is sitting, and it just needs to be not as high above the character, maybe a little shallower angle or closer to the head of your character. Here are more rebel guardsmen. You'll see there's an alarm beacon. Pretty much everything that outlines of red that you point on, you can shoot and destroy. There are some things that'll blow up that don't obviously look like they will, but they also have to take enough damage. As you can see, the amount of mobs I have left to finish this mission is very small. I only have a few left. I believe there's one room after this one, and this is where the last boss is at, is actually in this room you'll see coming up. Again, using the range abilities, just taking advantage of the amount of firepower that your character can lay down in a short amount of time. The only thing you got to keep an eye on here is you probably don't want to go into a fight, you know, with a little bit of ammunition. You always want to reload. Just hit the R button and you will reload your weapons. And here I'm just trying to kite some of the ads here and kill them off. Again, don't stand in the stuff that's about to explode. Move around a little bit. You can see that is the mini boss that's left. I'm actually gonna kite it, reload my weapons. I'm gonna drop a tarantula turret right here in front of it. And then with the tarantula turret and myself, this sentinel auto cannon is not gonna last very long. It is gonna be destroyed pretty much within a few seconds. And here it goes. See the red bar going down. I'm not taking damage at all. I'm only taking suppression damage. And there goes the sentinel cannon. And my tarantula cannon pretty much has full health still. Still got a few more mobs to kill before mission complete. They're up here in this other room up here. You'll see there's about 9 of them. And they're make short work of those, as there are just rebel guardsmen. They don't have any, next to no armor whatsoever. And coming up real soon as I take down the last one, there you go, mission completed. So this was just showing off the Crusader Assault Gunner with its dual pistols and not pulling out the auto gun. Again, the gunplay has gotten a lot better than it was before. There still could be some improvements, mostly with the camera and some of the movement mechanics. Inquisitor Martyr.